United Arab Emirates will be celebrating its 50th anniversary on Earth when Al Amal, after covering 493 million kilometers, reaches the orbit of Mars in February 2021. The successful launching of the first ever Arab space mission by United Arab Emirates has surprised the world. The history of conquest of space by this country was also the history of advancements of this country. At this juncture, it would be appropriate to retrace the past of United Arab Emirates with its unique, vast cultural heritage. The enchanting Arabian Gulf and the vastness of coastal Emirates, a dream land for many. Yes, the United Arab Emirates, one of the most advanced countries in the world. An attempt is made to unfold its rich heritage and checkered history from ancient times. The hot sand, the sand mounds, and the vastness of deserts are anybody's curiosity. The people who opted Gulf and those who accepted this land for centuries are yearning to know the history of this land. United Arab Emirates is not just a desert. It's full of diversities, a land where man blend with nature for centuries, struggling with the unfriendly nature and creating its own unique history. A land which has international trade relations for over 10,000 years. Today, United Arab Emirates hold its head high as the world-famous Burj Khalifa. It is natural that when an attempt is made to present the long history of a country in a summary, some relevant facts are bound to be escaping the discussion. Still, we are sure that this short video will give you a brief history of this country, presenting you a long history in a short time. Just imagine the life of ancient man without any modern amenities. When we see the magnificent buildings, the skyscrapers, the greenery on roadsides, and the modern living conditions, our thoughts should go back to the most difficult desert life of those days. Yes, the history of Arabian Gulf starts with primitive life. It would be appropriate here to mention about the vastness and importance of what we call the Arabian Gulf or the Arabian Peninsula. This is the largest gulf in the world. Area is 3.2 million square kilometer. The peninsula includes Yemen, Oman, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and United Arab Emirates. It would be curious to know the life in the desert in ancient times. Let's begin with life in the desert of those days. Primitive life in the desert. The sand dunes are short-lived, like a small wind in the desert. These may form sand mounds again when another breeze forms. The life of ancient man was also like the temporary sand mounds in the unpredictable desert. From primitive times, man lived in Arabian desert. To substantiate this, archaeological evidences have been unearthed in different places. Historical evidences show that those who migrated to Arabian Peninsula developed different settlements. More details of their origin are not available. However, archaeological evidences, written evidences, some written accounts outside Arabia The oral explanations of Islamic scholars support this. They were nomads known as Bedouins. Bedouins were the first settlers of Arabian desert. Bedouins were inhabitants of desert. Bedouins are a community of Arabs or nomads who lived primarily in West Africa, Arabian Gulf, Iraq and Levant. They were semi-nomadic tribes wandering through the deserts, beating the odds by their own survival skills, covering thousands of kilometers, following the directions of sun, stars and nature. The movement of sun, stars were the indicators of directions. They had to strengthen the cooperation of family in the adverse living conditions. Thus, by mutual cooperation, help and support, they formed various tribes and groups. They lived by hunting, rearing cattle, farming, fishing, and involved in various labors. In the vastness of dry land, they found out areas suitable for farming and formed settlements there. Bedouins were great hunters too. Seeing the footprints in the sand, they could distinguish humans and animals, and even male or female. They had their own ways to overcome the hot, dry climate and scarcity of water. Garf trees provided shade. They were used in constructing houses. Different trees in the desert were also used for making houses. They formed their own ways to confront the hot, dry climate of the Arabian desert. Tents were made of thick and strong clothes. The idea was to protect themselves from sand and dust and also for getting cool air. They planted different types of plants which grow in the desert besides palm trees, oranges and dates. Camels were used for transport and so they were called ships of the desert. Protein-rich camel milk and milk products were used. Camels were considered to be symbol of their social status and signified their wealth. Camel skin was used for making tents, clothes and sandals. They had goat also as their domestic animal. The influence of climate was visible in their clothes also. To combat heat, they used loose clothes. White clothes with long full sleeves were used to protect from wind, sand and heat. The scorching heat and extreme cold could not deter them from forming a civilization. Overcoming all the obstacles, they created history of survival and existence. From the middle of 20th century, they started living in cities, forsaking hitherto nomads' life. Climatic conditions, increased population, and the need for better living conditions were the main reasons for this. The modern administration had to pay attention for healthcare, education, administration of law, and therefore they were forced to have a better living. There are evidences of existence of modern man at a place called Maliha about 130,000 years back. Maliha is a village in Sharjah, UAE, where archaeological center is located. As the history continues, we will now be witnessing the oldest civilization of United Arab Emirates and its authenticity. Not only about the description of deserts, but we are also going to see the history, the rich heritage, and the culture of this loved nation. Sitting in comforts of cool room and with technologies at fingertips, we see the life of ancient people and their struggles and sufferings for their existence. The details were elaborated to remind the shaping of a civilization facing extreme conditions of nature in those days. We discussed the life of ancient people in Arabian Gulf, and here we are going to present various ancient eras of United Arab Emirates. Paleolithic era. Man lived in Arabian Gulf from about 26 lakh years before. The remains of Paleolithic era between 6000 BC to 3500 BC have been excavated from Sharjah, Ras Al Khaimah and Abu Dhabi in United Arab Emirates. Earthenwares of yellow color with green tinge were excavated from these places. These have semblances with discoveries of those period from Mesopotamia. Bronze Era. The period between 3200 BC to 1300 BC is known as Bronze Era. This era is divided into three, namely Jabal Hafid, Al-Nar and Wadi Souk. Now let's go in detail to the three eras. Jabal Hafid era. This era is called Jabal Hafid era after the discovery of tombs in Al Ain and Abu Dhabi. The era also witnessed development of copper industry. Evidences of agriculture life, cultivation of wheat, maize were also found out in Al Ain. Other discoveries are ancient settlements in Jabal Hafid and hilly in Al Ain, cemetery in Jabal Emata near Al Datin in Sharjah. Al-Nar era. This era is known as Al-Nar era after discovery of archaeological remains from Al-Nar island in Abu Dhabi. About 40 hills, many tombs, large graves were discovered from here. In Al-Nar era, strong trade relations were established with Mesopotamian civilization and Harappa of Indus Valley civilization. More than 200 burial grounds were found in different parts of United Arab Emirates. Archaeological survey team also found out ancient remains in Al-Muwayhat in Ajman, Al-Abrak in Al Quwain, Bidia in Fujairah, Kalba in Sharjah, Shamil in Ras Al Khaimah. Wadi Souk era. The particular area between Al Ain and Oman coast is known as Wadi Souk. Most important discoveries were from Shamil in Ras Al Khaimah, Korfakan, Jabal Al Buhais in Sharjah and Al Qisais in Dubai. Archaeological department found out tombs, spearheads, earthen pots, ornaments made of gold, silver from here. Iron Era. This era marks the beginning of exploration of underground water for irrigation purposes in dry climate. There are evidences that bronze, gold, ceramics, handicrafts, weapons were used in this era. Iron Era marks the period between 1300 BC to 300 BC. The archaeological survey found out that United Arab Emirates was abound in prosperity and urbanization in Iron Era. The peculiar feature of this era is exploration of groundwater for irrigation system known as falaj, even in dry climates. Besides, the era witnessed the beginning of ancient form of letters. The important discoveries of this era are the villages with falaj irrigation facilities of Rumaila, Al Ain, Abu Dhabi, Al Tai Gaiba, Safat of Sharjah, and the strong and secured settlements of Muwaili, Al Quwain and Sharjah. Islamic era. AD 630 to AD 1258 marks the arrival of Islam. Islam reached United Arab Emirates after the opening of Holy Mecca. The missionaries of Prophet Muhammad reached United Arab Emirates in AD 630 to spread Islam. With this, a new era was unfolded here. The messenger Amir bin al-As brought the message of Prophet to the kings of Oman and Sohar. They accepted with reverence the invitation to Islam. Later, under the influence of different caliphs, Islamic thoughts prospered. After the passing away of Prophet Muhammad, Oman and its surroundings engaged in Redda War. Redda Wars or apostasy wars were the advances of military troops started by Khalifa against dissident Arabian tribes. Islamic fighters could defeat the dissidents in Redda War at Dibba in Fujairah. The remnants of Islamic rule were found out from different parts of United Arab Emirates. The discovery of coins from Jumeirah testifies this. The oldest mosque in United Arab Emirates, the Islamic Bidya Mosque in Fujairah, is as old as 5th century. This mosque finds place in World Heritage Records. Now, we watch the cultural heritage of United Arab Emirates. Next, we are going to present the backgrounds of important political developments in the history of United Arab Emirates. Foreign era. As we traverse through the history of ancient civilization, we reach a different pathway now. After the Stone Age and struggles for survival, and due to continued hard work, they conquered the modern times also. This land continued to be the land of coastal trade and commerce through various eras as we discussed earlier. The land, the wealth, and the strong cultural basis of those times led to foreign invasions. Invading, conquering, and possessing were the passion for men even in those days as in today. The period marks the conquest by Portuguese, Dutch, Britain of the world. The advantages of Arabian Gulf was also known to them. Pearl industry was main economic activity of coastal communities of eastern part of Arabia. This industry brought jobs and income to the people of Persian Gulf. From olden times onwards, various communities engaged in sorting pearls. Many laborers during those days got salary in pearls and not in money. Portugal era. The first main Europeans who reached Arabia was Portuguese. They reached Arabian Gulf in 1498. In 1515, Portuguese reached Indian Ocean and Gulf of Oman. They secured monopoly using their strong military and other forces. By 1560, they reached peak of their defense capability in ocean. They established semi-monopoly over the trade of pepper and spices. They acquired share of trade and also trade between various parts in Indian Ocean. They faced opposition from 16th century onwards. They were expelled from Jalfar and Dibba in 1633, and that marked the ending of Portugal era. Dutch era. The loss of Hormuz Straits in 1622 for Portuguese is the arrival of Dutch and British for seizing the trade. By 17th century, they established strong navy in Indian Ocean and Arabian Gulf. Due to the continued war between British and French, they were weakened by 1750. Later, they settled in Karg Island and got involved in activities such as fishing and pearl trade. British era. The trade in Gulf by Britishers grew by 1720. The Britishers paid more attention to ward off European enemies from their areas and to increase trade with India, and also for extending their naval fleet. The situation continued till 1971 with various developments in between. Towards 18th century, mighty Qasim were in power in northeast part of Arabian Gulf. They had their own military power of 20,000 soldiers and 60 massive ships. British felt that this would affect their interest and restrict the sea trade between Gulf and India. This followed fights between British and Qasim, resulting in defeat of Qasim by 1820. The discovery of oil was in the year 1958. The continuous search for oil for 30 years resulted in discovery of Marban Bab oil field situated 84 kilometers north of Abu Dhabi for the first time. Britain declared withdrawal from Gulf towards beginning of 1968. They had reached a decision that United Arab Emirates cannot be administered anymore. Innumerable discussions on reasons for withdrawal were held in British Parliament. Britain announced that withdrawal will be completed by the end of 1971. Arabs had developed their lifestyle through social and cultural exchanges. Still, the stage was set only now for forming a united country. Britain ended 250 years of colonization. The far-sighted rulers were ready for a new beginning. We will now discuss the story of new era of Arabian Gulf, the birth of the country of United Arab Emirates, its growth and progress, and also about the expatriates who adopted this desert land as their caring mother. The attempts of far-sighted Abu Dhabi ruler, His Highness Marhum Sheikh Zayed bin Al Nahyan, paved way to form Arab Emirates Federation. It was a new beginning, a beginning time waited for. The declaration of withdrawal of Britain and the withdrawals from crucial states paved way for the formation of a federation. The crucial states in northeast of Arabian Gulf decided to constitute a nation. It would be appropriate to mention what crucial states are. The Britishers called the community of tribes in southwest Arabia as crucial states. Dubai, Sharjah, Abu Dhabi, Fujairah, Al Quwain, Ajman and Ras Al Khaimah are the crucial states. The Labour MP, Mr. Goronvi Robert, informed His Highness Sheikh Zayed about the withdrawal of British. Later, 9 Persian sheikhs decided to constitute a federation of Arab Emirates. On 18th February 1968, the ruler of Abu Dhabi, His Highness Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan, and the ruler of Dubai, His Highness Sheikh Rashid bin Zayed Al Maktoum, had a historic meeting at Al Samha in Abu Dhabi. Later, in the same month, a summit was held in Dubai, in which rulers of crucial coast, Bahrain and Qatar attended. An understanding was reached in which 9 rulers participated to constitute an Arab Emirates. Afterwards, as a result of political discussion and decisions, Qatar and Bahrain formed independent countries. That is to say, Bahrain became independent in August 1971 and Qatar in September 1971. The 7 Emirates and crucial states formed United Arab Emirates. The rulers of 7 crucial states, except the ruler of Ras Al Khaimah, decided to constitute a union on 18 July 1971. On that day, in the meeting, an important historical declaration was made, a call for unity of mankind who struggled to convert desert into golden towers for decades, a call for unity of those whose language, dress and culture are the same regardless of boundaries or borders. A declaration which became a milestone for earning a livelihood of lakhs and lakhs of people. The Supreme Council felicitates the people of United Arab Emirates as well as the Arab people and our friends around the world, and declares the United Arab Emirates as an independent sovereign state, being a part of the Arab world. United Arab Emirates was established as a federation on 2nd December 1971. The ruler of Abu Dhabi, His Highness Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan, was chosen to be the first president of United Arab Emirates, and the ruler of Dubai, His Highness Sheikh Rashid bin Zayed Al Maktoum, as the first vice president of United Arab Emirates. Out of 7 emirates, 6 emirates, namely Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Ajman, Al Quwain and Fujairah, became part of the federation on the same day. Ras Al Khaimah also became the 7th emirate on 10th February 1972. Thus, United Arab Emirates became a sovereign independent country. It shares east border with Oman, southwest border with Saudi Arabia, west is Qatar, and on north is Iran, and rest facing the sea. Thus, United Arab Emirates, which is situated southeast of Persian Gulf and northwest of Oman Bay of Arabian Peninsula, became a reality. Here, we have described just a short history from Stone Age. Many evidences of old traditions and heritage are available in archaeological centers and museums. When we reach this prosperous country, the way it is today, trying to find a home away from our homeland, seeking employment and also for our living, we should know the history of rich cultural heritage of this land. We have seen the trade relations with Indus Valley civilization. We have only said about how a group of people with rich heritage united and formed a federation. The world experienced an unforgettable cultural combination of union. It was a great leap from there. The desert was made oasis, following the never-ending energy and determination left behind by the predecessors. Development of this country from 1971 onwards is thought-provoking and an inspiration for anybody. I hope you have enjoyed this brief simplified video on the history of United Arab Emirates. Thank you.